Hey, Mark, welcome
Hi.
to the virtual campground. We are so glad you are here. Thank you for joining
Thank you.
us.
Yes, thank you very
Hey.
much.
Thank you for having me, and hello, everybody.
Hi. So I saw something about CampgroundViewscom, which is your company, and just got really excited and tickled about it because, of course, we all know that campground booking is really hard,
Really difficult.
especially these days, and saw some things going on. But at first, I want to hear about your background. Tell us about your RVing.
My wife and I, back in 2008, decided that we wanted to hit the road. And we spent a year planning and became full-time RV'ers in 2009. And 12 years later, we are still full-time RV'ers. We had a fifth wheel that's a 44-foot fifth wheel. We pulled it with a Dodge Ram. And here recently, we were actually in the process of buying a house. So we're going through a little bit of a transition. We actually sold that fifth wheel, bought a little toy hauler. And as we go through this home buying process, we'll be starting up again right after we get locked into this place. But we spent the last 12 years on this amazing journey going around the country, seeing all the amazing spots that everybody wants to go to. And we had the opportunity to go to while we were young, vibrant, and running a business from the road. So really fun journey.
Awesome.
12 years. That's
12,
awesome.
That is amazing.
Yeah. It's funny because we're at the point now, and it's an interesting side story. We never owned a house before. So before this, we had an apartment. We got rid of that and went on the road. We're now in the process of buying a house. And quite honestly, everybody who's owned a house who never full-time RV, you're all nuts. Like, this process is crazy buying a house. Like, it's so much easier to buy an RV. They're simple. You can pick out your floor plans. There's plenty of them on the lot. You don't need to fight with anybody over. You want that one? Well, they'll sell you the next one, right? Buying a house is crazy. Like, so it's an interesting dichotomy between the two sides.
Yeah, it's stuck in one place, so you got to care about where your house is.
Yeah, the location becomes a little bit more, and now you have to buy stuff to fill it.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Literally, I was just telling the loan broker that, like, well, here's your rates, and I'm like, hey, remember, we have nothing. Like, he's like, well, what do you mean by nothing? I'm like, we have nothing. We don't have we have pillows, but we don't have a mattress. We don't have a frame. Like, we have nothing. And so they're like, well, that's gonna be expensive. And in fact, I was getting the insurance quote, and the lady's like, well, normally people insure like half of the home's value. And I'm like, yeah, we're not buying that much stuff.
That will be in a year. I'm going to check in with you to see how you went from an RV to a house and how much stuff you have.
That's right, exactly.
Whereas,
at the rate we're going, I'll probably have lost the house and be back in an RV.
That's okay. Yes, yeah, because most of us have done the opposite. You're right, and had a house and then moved into an RV. So we had to get rid of all that stuff. And I hope I don't acquire it all back when we come off the road, but we'll see.
Not immediately.
Not immediately.
I don't know. What we've found is, and you've probably found this, you've been on the road for what, about a year now, right?
Two and a half. Yeah.
2.5 years. So you are now seasoned RVers, and you know how it goes. You go into a gift shop now, and you look at all that nice stuff, and you say, wow, that's really nice. And then you walk out without it because you have no place to put it.
That's exactly right.
That's right.
And it's an actual mindset that you get stuck with that'll never go away. That'll be stuck with. And that's actually the problem we're having buying stuff. It's like, all we need is a bed and maybe a desk. Like, what are all these decorations you have to put on? That's kind of silly.
Yes. But hopefully you have pictures from 12 years of travel, so you can put some pictures
on the walls.
We know that you have a lot of videos.
Yeah.
A lot of videos, a lot of photos. Photo-wise, that's actually part of our buying journey for buying a house was, where are we going to place our photos? So, for example, we have the Northern Lights over Glacier National Park over Lake McDonald. We saw the last nighttime launch of a shuttle and have photos of that. Fireworks over Mount Rushmore. I mean, we've got these amazing, iconic photos that we've taken. We haven't bought these from anywhere else, and we're just looking forward to actually framing them and putting on a wall.
Exactly. Awesome. That's awesome. That's exactly why people RVs, to get to have those kind of experiences.
That's right.
So y'all were out there traveling around, and you thought of CampgroundViews.com. So tell me how that idea came up and how you got it off the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Off the ground.
Sure. Let's go.
Yeah. So when we started RVing, the only sources of information were review sites, and you had to spend a lot of time reading reviews trying to pick a campground. And anybody who's done that knows that sometimes the reviews are great and they lead you to the right place, and sometimes they're fake and you end up at the wrong place, or the right place was scared away from you because it had a bunch of bad reviews. And so through all that, cell phones started coming out with cameras on them, and we decided, hey, everybody's got cameras. Let's start sharing photos and videos. And that was exactly what happened. And that was the catalyst to build CampgroundViews.com. We now have 16,000 campgrounds with over 40,000 photographs, over 3,000 videos, and thousands of reviews of those campgrounds and RV parks.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's
that is
amazing.
awesome. So how does a campground get on the site, and then which ones have videos?
So 3,000 of them have videos, and it depends on where the videos come from. So any camper can send us a video of a park. There's a link on there to submit your video to us, and then we'll edit out license plates and faces and put it back online, so you can shoot that with your camera, the video camera on your phone. Parks, we already have 16,000 parks listed. So usually it's just new RV parks and RV resorts, and there's an easy button on the homepage to submit a new park. Just click that and submit the new park, and we'll get you added.
Awesome. Okay. And do y'all prefer cell video, or do you like drone video?
Either or. We actually there's one guy who sends us a lot of videos, and he does drones. And what's hilarious is some of his drones are like in areas we know you can't legally fly drones, and we're like, well, if you're hosting it, we didn't take it, so we like the footage. We'll use it, but we're definitely not encouraging that.
Wow.
He's a very brave man.
That's right. That's right.
All right. So the videos, so there's something new that's been added to some of the videos, right? So tell me about that.
So the biggest problem in camping, and I might be wrong on this, but maybe you agree with me, is actually trying to find a campsite. And especially with so many people camping, it's a nightmare trying to find a campsite. You spend hours and hours and hours. And the obvious solution and the obvious question is, why hasn't Google Street View driven through this campground so I can see that site and see if I'll fit? Yep. That's exactly what we're doing. We're going to the campgrounds with a 360 video camera. So it's actually a little bit better than Google Street View, because Google Street View are photos, not videos. So we're taking videos in 360. And then we're going to the next level, which is adding on augmented information. So as you're doing that virtual tour of a campground, information about the sites will pop up in your display. You can click on those information icons, get more information about that site, you know, how long it is and all those type of details. And if that's not good enough, you can also then click on a book now. So you're seeing the site, you see if it's available, get the information on it, and click on it to book it. So we believe it's pretty groundbreaking stuff. It currently integrates directly with Recreation.gov. And this last summer, we went out and we captured all of the Recreation.gov properties in the states of Arizona, Utah, Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, and Nevada.
Wow.
And we will be bringing those online. So right now, we just started up like the pre-sales, so access to it. How Mark, is this going to be free? And the answer is unfortunately no, because I'm not independently wealthy. We need to pay for this stuff. And so there will be a membership fee to view those, but it'll be unlimited. So you can view as many as you want and then complete your booking at Recreation.gov. And to get things rolling, we're doing this pre-sale of those memberships at half off. So if you think this is cool and you're like, hey, Mark, how can I help? Because this is pretty much game-changing stuff. Come join half off. We're giving you a good discount because you're helping us make this thing happen. And by this summer, we should have all those 400 parks out there for you to be able to virtually tour.
Okay, that's what I saw. So yes. That I was wondering, because I had seen something that was a map of just those states you mentioned, but then I saw the map with all the parks and I got myself a little confused there. So that's it. That the parks that right now you're connected to Recreation.gov are those states, and what the membership gets folks is to be able to see that added information on those parks and then to be able to click through to book. And how far in advance does it let you book?
Whatever the Recreation.gov rules define. And so our data is directly being pulled from Recreation.gov and overlaid on that 360 experience. So whatever that underlying data is, we're showing it to you. So and then when you book, you're actually completing your booking at Recreation.gov. So all their reminders, their emails, you're in their reservation system. So we're not even collecting personally identifiable information.
Oh, perfect. Okay, good. And then, so y'all went in over, how long did it take you to get those 400 campgrounds with the 360 view?
That was this last season that those were captured. And then this season we'll be capturing the rest, everything else. So we'll have all the Recreation.gov properties. And it's they have 2,000 campgrounds, but it's about 12 to 1,500 family campgrounds, which are the normal campgrounds you and I would go to. That excludes horse camps and group camps and cabins and such. So it's about 12 to 1,500 of those type of campgrounds. This last year, we could have got California, Oregon, and Washington, but unfortunately, and especially for the people that were in it, the forest fires just kept us completely out. And then you add on the COVID shutdowns, it just wasn't even practical to do those states. So we're hoping that we don't get COVID 2 or something like that, and we'll be able to capture them this year.
Are you literally driving through these parks? Are you staying at any of them?
Yeah, so we actually we hired filming teams, and those folks, we sent out an email blast. If you want to get on it, go sign up for the email at CampgroundViews.com, and we'll announce when we're doing this next. And we took applications from our readers and ended up picking filming teams who we literally paid them to go visit campgrounds all summer long. And that entire route, all those states, they got to go and check it all out. And yeah, they had the journey of a lifetime. That was for sure.
That's cool.
And so those are all the campgrounds. So they're things like state parks, usually, state parks, I guess, really, through Recreation.gov. They're not going to be private campgrounds or BLM land, correct?
Correct. So BLM, BLM is a little different beast. If they're on the Recreation.gov system, yes, we'll have them when we do have some BLM properties. But like the dispersed campgrounds, right, where you're going to go camping the BLM, we actually purposely made a decision at Campground Views not to list those because we get a lot of first-time campers. And as anybody who's ever done boondocking knows, it's not something you just go into. You have to have a plan and understand what you're getting into. And we didn't want to inadvertently be sending the non-informed out into those areas. So we purposely don't list those. And the 360 doesn't really play into that, right? Because the whole purpose of BLM boondocking is to get lost, right? Let's drive down this road and see where we're going. We don't want to document that. That's more of the adventure part of the camping, because most people don't realize, it's how the sausage is made at the campgrounds. The reservation marketplace is highly competitive. So when you're booking, you probably notice when you book campsites, you go to one website and it's one experience. You go to another, it's a different experience. There's no uniform reservation engine. And there's a very competitive marketplace there with a number of players, and they all have anywhere from 20 to 1,000 RV park or campground clients that are using their software. And so there's this really large mosaic. And so as part of our rollout, we had to pick the one that was the biggest, had the integration, and hit the most people, and that's Recreation.gov. Beyond that, once we launch with Recreation.gov, we inevitably see states like California, Florida. They're going to want this right away, but we'll have to be contracting or working directly with each of those states in order to make that happen. So there's actually a lot of legwork that goes on behind the scenes to make this type of stuff happen.
So for right now, the Recreation.gov is going to be the federally owned campgrounds in those areas. Do they all have hookups, or some of them are still dry docking?
Most of the federal properties do not have hookups. There's a few that do, and the folks that know those know that they're pretty amazing. The ones that do have hookups. Most federal properties do not have hookups, and it's a really small list. I would say out of the 400 we captured this last year, 20 have hookups. The rest are all just regular Forest Service campgrounds with no utilities.
Okay, yeah, and then that shows up. Obviously, when there are some hookups or other information that shows up when people can click on the more information campsite. Yeah.
And where this really helps is anybody who owns an RV, especially one that's in like the 32 to 35 foot range or bigger. You've heard that a lot of Forest Service they limit you, right? They say if you're over 32 feet, you can't come. And a lot of folks wonder why. Well, these virtual tours allow you to see, and you'll either recognize that, yeah, they're right, I couldn't make that turn if I'm that long, or maybe they're not right, and you could easily pull into that campground and get into that site. We were demoing this technology for some folks, and we were showing them a campground they knew, and they're like, look at that. This site right here, it showed one site, and that was like the site that was listed for longer RVs, was actually worse than one that was listed for shorter RVs, because the one that was listed for shorter RVs, you could pull out into the street further and back in, whereas the other site, you didn't have that type of space. And you never would have got that information from anywhere other than a virtual tour that allowed you to see that. You never drive anywhere you don't know how to exit, right? And
right.
In surfaces, you don't even drive on dirt unless you know it's suitable. Otherwise, we were in New York. I learned this lesson the hard way. We were in New York, checked into an RV park, and they said, swing up on the grass and drop down into that site.
Oops.
their septic collapsed underneath my tire as I pulled out into the grass, and the truck just dropped to the frame, and I was stuck. And luckily, they had a tractor to pull me out. But that was one of those things where I guess even if I walked it, I wouldn't have known. But it was still one of those examples where you're carrying a lot of weight and you don't want to sink in the ground.
No, you don't. No, that's a fear. So no. No. And so tell me how you engage with your the folks that are on your site so that they can submit pictures and reviews and videos.
So when you visit CampgroundViews.com for the first time, you'll be presented with a pop-up and it'll have a link to somewhere, but there's always an opportunity to register for free. All it asks for is an email address, and you now have an account to CampgroundViews.com. We're always adding features onto it, and you'll be added onto our email list. We send out about an email every month on average. Right now, we're a little bit more frequent as we launch this 360, maybe every week right now. But you'll get updates on where we're at and be able to follow along and decide if you want to support us or not.
Okay, awesome. And are the memberships up on the site now?
They're on the site now, yeah. So if you go to CampgroundViews.com, you'll see on the homepage there's some links to it. Up at the top, there's links to it. There's links to it everywhere. A pop-up will say, hey, obviously we're in the process of getting the capital to make this happen. So we're not pushy, but we're definitely reminding you a lot.
How much is a membership, Mark?
So there will be various levels of memberships once this goes live. In the meantime, the big one we're selling is lifetime access. So if you grab that right now, is lifetime access, and that is $250, and it gets you lifetime access. There's also a few deals available, and so just keep your eye out for that if you're looking to shop around. But $250.
Awesome.
$250 is the lifetime, and that's the at 50%, right? Currently, and then you have some that are annual, so that I guess that people could buy it and just rebuy it every year. Right?
Yeah, we call it the Camping Insider. That's $100, and that gets you a year's worth of access. And what I mean by years, we're actually giving it like 18 months because that way you get through the launch, and then it'll be a year after that. Because who wants to pay for a year if half of that is us getting it live, right?
Correct.
So
Exactly.
we're giving you a buffer there, and the reality is, if you're jumping on here, you're gonna have a lifetime of appreciation from us for helping make this thing happen.
Right, and getting it launched.
And
awesome.
when do you hope to launch?
It's looking like we should have them all live by July if everything goes the way it's going right now. In fact, we just released, you're probably viewing this in the future, but back at the end of March, we released the first beta version to our early testers of the experience in a campground. And it's exciting to see something that we've been working on for 3 years actually become real. And this technology we've developed is fundamentally different than anything else that's out there. And so one of the things that's interesting about that is we made it look really easy, but it's not. It's actually really complex. We're taking a video camera, and it's a 360 camera, and we're moving it through a space, and then we're laying out stationary coordinates on that. The math problem involved with that is so complex that it's amazing what we're creating, and it's for camping. Let's all go camping and have a good time and find sites a little bit more easily.
Awesome. That's right.
Easily, yeah. Yes, math and me. No,
Yeah, no.
We're not engineers. No. So thank you for doing that. Yes, because
You're welcome.
I mean, when they're really driving through the folks that helped you with the 360, I mean, they have to stop at every site essentially and take a look at it so that every site is on the actual video. Correct?
Yeah, there's a secret to it. So we actually have a really proprietary way to. This isn't just us grabbing a 360 camera and going through a campground. There's actually a little bit of a method to our madness on how we capture this, how we produce it, and how we deliver it. What I can share is that there is a process that's really important to develop these in the right way and make them useful to as broad a range of campers as possible. Recreation.gov last year, so 2020, received over 32 million unique visitors searching for campgrounds. Yet Recreation.gov on average only has about a 35% occupancy of their campgrounds. And the reason being is it's really easy to find a campground in Zion National Park or Yellowstone, right? Everybody knows about those main ones. But what people don't know about are the lesser known campgrounds. And if you're planning your camping trip and it's going to be your one trip this year, you're not really willing to risk that experience on a guess. And so this information, we believe, will help people stop guessing, actually see the campgrounds, and be able to travel out and camp more often.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Well,
sounds very
that's what
cool.
we want folks to do, is get out there and camp more often. And there's a lot more campers out there to do it these days. So that's awesome.
There is.
Thank you so much, Mark.
This
This
has
is
been
great
fantastic.
technology. I'm very excited about it, and I'm excited to see how this grows.
We'll keep you posted, and I appreciate your time, and invite all your viewers. If you want to check it out, go to Campground Views, sign up, with your email address, and start paying attention. We're fellow RV'ers. We're building this because we want to get more people outside, and we'd love your support.
Awesome. Great.
Thank you, Mark. So nice meeting you. Thanks
Yes.
for being on the virtual campground.
Thank you.